You won't believe what happened in that high-level briefing room. Stick around, because this is one of those stories that reminds you heroes don't always wear uniforms, sometimes, they carry a mop and bucket. And if this story touches your heart like it did mine, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life tales of courage and unexpected twists. The fluorescent lights of the Navy HQ briefing room hummed a low, bureaucratic tune, gleaming off the polished floor that still smelled faintly of lemon-scented cleaner. Senior officers, their uniforms a sea of ribbons and braid, murmured amongst themselves, studying the classified tactical maps displayed on the screens. The air was thick with the importance of the moment, a new, shadowy threat in the Pacific requiring a delicate and dangerous response. And in the corner, head down, was Leo. He moved with a quiet, efficient grace, wiping a smudge from a window with a soft cloth. To everyone in the room, he was just the janitor. The one who emptied their trash bins, who nodded respectfully when they passed, who was as much a part of the background as the filing cabinets. His coveralls were his camouflage, his rolling cart his armored vehicle. But if you looked closely, you'd see the sharp intelligence in his calm blue eyes, the rigid set of his shoulders that never quite relaxed, and the way his gaze would sometimes drift to the tactical displays, a flicker of ancient understanding passing through them before he quickly looked away. His real mission, the one that mattered more than any admiral's briefing, was waiting for him at home, his 7-year-old daughter, Chloe. A little girl with his same eyes and a smile that could power a city. She was the reason he pushed the mop every night, the reason he endured the anonymous glances. The medical bills from her rare heart condition were a mountain he was slowly, painstakingly, trying to move one cleaning shift at a time. Being a janitor at the HQ gave him stable hours, health insurance, and the profound peace of knowing he was home to read her a story every single morning before she went to school. He'd traded his past, his glory, his very name, for the sacred title of Dad. The briefing wasn't going well. Admiral James Thorne, a man with a voice that could command a fleet and a stare that could freeze the sea, was growing increasingly frustrated. The geography is a nightmare, he stated, jabbing a finger at a digital simulation of a narrow, treacherous strait. Any insertion team would be detected instantly. Their radar coverage is impenetrable here, here, and here. It's a suicide run. A young, ambitious commander spoke up. We could use a high altitude, low opening drop, sir. Insert them 50 miles out and have them swim in those currents. With that enemy patrol density, the probability of success is less than 5%, Thorne countered, his voice a low growl of thunder. We need a ghost. Someone who can slip through a keyhole without making a sound. A heavy silence fell over the room. Leo, who had been slowly mopping a section of the floor near the back, felt his heart begin to thump a familiar, forgotten rhythm. He saw the problem instantly. It was a puzzle he'd solved before, in another life. The halo drop was the obvious, wrong answer. The solution was lower, faster, and infinitely more dangerous. It required a pilot with an almost supernatural feel for the wind and a willingness to dance with death. He tried to suppress the memories, but they flooded in. The roar of a twin turboprop engine, the feel of the stick in his hand, the dizzying dance of flying nap of the earth through mountain passes so tight you could smell the pine trees. He remembered the faces of his team, the trust in their eyes. And he remembered the final, fateful mission that had taken it all away. He couldn't help himself. As he passed the admiral's chair, he kept his eyes fixed on the floor, but his voice, though soft, was clear. The katabatic winds, he murmured, almost to himself. The room went silent. All eyes turned to the janitor. The young commander who had suggested the halo drop sneered. Did you have something to add, Leo? Unless you're an expert in alpine wind patterns, I suggest you stick to your cleaning. Leo flinched, his knuckles turning white as he gripped the mop handle. He was about to mutter an apology and retreat when Admiral Thorne held up a hand. His sharp eyes weren't on the commander, they were fixed on Leo. He'd noticed the man before, the quiet dignity, the way he carried himself not like a broken man, but like a sheathed sword. No, the Admiral said, his voice cutting through the tension. Let him speak. He stared at Leo, a strange, dawning recognition in his gaze. What did you say? Leo swallowed hard, his mind screaming at him to stay silent, to protect the quiet life he'd built. But the sailor, the warrior buried deep inside, wouldn't let him. The katabatic winds, sir, he repeated, his voice gaining a sliver of strength. Off the northern ridge. After midnight, they funneled down that strait like a river. A plane, a very specific kind of plane, could ride that river of air. It would be a turbulent hell, but it would mask your engine's signature from their radar. You'd be invisible, but you'd only have one shot. One pass. The Admiral stood up slowly, his chair scraping back. He walked around the table, his steps measured, his eyes never leaving Leo's face. He was piecing together a puzzle of his own, a story from 2 decades ago, of a legendary pilot call signed, Reaper. A man who could make an airplane whisper, who specialized in the impossible insertions. A man who had vanished after a catastrophic mission loss, presumed dead or broken. That's a flight profile I haven't heard proposed since the 90s, Thorne said, his voice dangerously quiet. Only one squadron ever trained for it. The ghosts of Kodiak. Leo's blood ran cold. He tried to look away, but the Admiral's gaze was a tractor beam. I knew one of their pilots, Thorne continued, stopping just a few feet from Leo. The entire room was frozen, a tableau of stunned silence. The best of them all. He flew a mission into Siberia to extract an asset. Intel was wrong. It was a trap. He held that bird in a hover for 10 minutes under heavy fire, waiting for his team. Only 2 of the 5 made it back. He never flew again. They said the guilt broke him. Tears welled in Leo's eyes, the pain of that night as fresh as if it were yesterday. The sound of the gunfire, the sight of his friends falling, the feeling of their blood on the cockpit floor. Admiral Thorne took one more step, his voice dropping to a near whisper, but in the silent room, it echoed like a gunshot. Your call sign was, Reaper, wasn't it, Lieutenant Marcus Thorne? The room didn't just freeze, it shattered. The janitor. The quiet, unassuming janitor was the legendary Reaper. The Admiral's own nephew, whom he had mourned for years. Leo, Marcus, closed his eyes, a single tear tracing a path through the faint grime on his cheek. He gave a slow, almost imperceptible nod. The Admiral's stern composure cracked. He saw not the broken man he'd heard about, but a hero who had chosen a different kind of service. A man who had traded fame for fatherhood, who carried his past not as a trophy, but as a silent, heavy weight. The floor is clean, Leo, the Admiral said, his voice thick with an emotion no one in the room had ever heard from him before. But your country isn't. We need you. Not to fly, but to teach. To show these young pilots what impossible really looks like. We need the Reaper's mind. And in that moment, Leo saw a new path. He could honor his fallen brothers not by hiding from their memory, but by ensuring their hard-won knowledge was passed on. He could build a better, more secure future, not just for Chloe, but for all the sons and daughters of the sailors in this very room. He could serve again, without having to leave his little girl. He looked at his uncle, the man who had found him in the most unlikely of places, and he nodded again. This story is a powerful reminder that our past doesn't define us, but it can equip us for a greater future. It tells us that no act of love, whether for our country or for our family, is ever wasted. Leo found his purpose not in the glory of the skies, but in the quiet humility of service, and was finally recognized for the hero he always was. If you believe in second chances and the unsung heroes walking among us, share this story. Let us know in the comments what this story meant to you. And for more tales of hope, courage, and unexpected redemption, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. The next story might just change your entire perspective.